I started to think about our national debt. And I recall that when we became independent, our national debt was £12,000, which Granny Adams then, Sir Granny since, borrowed to complete the Deepwater Harbour, which was a tangible something. Since then, our national debt has skyrocketed. I think the last occasion that I asked the central bank, they told me that we were $14 billion and change and rising. And well, that's cause for concern. The amount of money that we Barbadians owe in Barbados dollars is nothing, because we could tear the whole thing up and throw it in the sea. It won't make any difference. But we do owe 3.2 billion US dollars. And my mathematics at the time indicated that that meant that every Barbados citizen, crippled, picnic, schoolboy, mother, every one of us owed 37,000 US dollars. No, just looking around here, there are a lot of people here that I wouldn't pay 37,000 US dollars for. And I'm certain there are many that don't think I am worth that. How are we going to square that circle? Because, you know, coming up as independent, not owing anybody any money, small nation, but we stood for something. Right now, we have borrowed and defaulted and all the rest of it. The world now regards us as a pack of mendacious, meretricious mendicants, thieving, stealing beggars. And with that as a background, and you coming from a spell in London, do you think there's anybody in the United Kingdom now, other than a few ex-Barbadians, who feel any sense of obligation whatsoever to this place called Barbados? If it sank onto the sea, who would care? Any of them prepared to guarantee one of our debts? None. And you know the iniquitous thing about it? 60% of our revenue today is tied up in the payment of interest on debt. And that is with national debts at like 1.5% and 2%. Double that, and you find out that our entire income from tax cannot even pay the interest on the debts we owe. Leave alone the principal, even on the basis that we could roll it over time after time. I am old enough to remember, and I'm sure you are too, when interest rates were 14%. When you go home, you get the latest economic review and impute 14% interest to the Barbados national debt. And see that does your estimates, which, not long from now, if you have your way, you will be responsible for. Quite frankly, I cannot imagine why you want to undertake that. For me, if I was offered, I would refuse it. And if I was elected, I would resign. And if they insisted by law that I serve, I would commit a crime. Because if a felon cannot be president. So I honestly don't know why a young man like yourself would want to get involved in this mess.
If I can start and answer that question, it's not necessarily a desire of mine, but I believe I am a faithful servant, and I have been pointed in a direction on a journey which I feel that I must do to the best of my ability. Our economy and our economic situation is dire. And this is why I was talking about that we cannot continue to limp along in the world economically, underperforming for now 2 decades in terms of global economic output. When we look at our sectors, our tourism sector, we like to feel that we are world beaters. But if you check around, our tourism product is not even top ranked in the Caribbean. If you look and see where the top properties are in the Caribbean, most of them are elsewhere. We have got to look at our products. As we said, the little thought, big blunders are made. We can't afford anymore. We cannot get a CEO to run our most strategic economy. We've been told they put an ad in the Financial Times. We lost, been without one for over a year and a half. It is not good enough. So what we have to do is sit down with our sector leaders, our international business and financial sector. We decided not to sign on to a treaty that the entire world has signed up with. And Mr. Biden, the president, has already signaled that sanctions will follow. This is not about economics. This is about world politics. And as you are saying, if we feel, Freddie, that we are big and bad, we are going to unlearn our place. So we are now playing around with being not at the leading edge in tourism. Our international business and financial services sector is imperiled. We have our biggest trading partner in Canada. Nobody can find a high commissioner. Last time I heard was he was running behind Elsa up in St. George North. This is not good enough. And this is not for laughing, because this is carrying our children down into the same hole that Freddie is talking about. But this is the problem. We seem to accept that this is good enough. And when we critique them, they say, you remember what happened last time? We have to call out this administration. And it's not, as I said, but one to the other. We as a country need to step up. We have to diversify, and how many ministers of finance have said this? From one to the next, to the third, to the fifth, to the 19th. We cannot continue to hold on to two sectors. They are our crucial sectors, and we cannot abandon them, but them alone. We have to look at where our niche markets are. We are in a major economic crisis, but we still have to pay massive food import bills. And why? Because our farmers get no support. Between the prairie larceny and the lack of support financially for them, they have given up. They have given up. We need governments to continue to take responsibility and allow everybody to come to the playing field. We get new niches in there. We talk about medical marijuana, but when you look at the licensing costs, you know that's not open to the small man. We have to find ways of making our economy more democratic. But the main thing, Fred, you're asking, we have to grow at a phenomenal rate. It can't be any longer just trying to help those who have helped the administration get through. We have to come up with a serious economic model. And you're going to ask me what are my details? I am sorry, I am not doing the government's work because they don't pay me. They got 8 advisors who should be able to come to the people of Barbados with a sound economic plan. And Freddie, yes, when the time comes, and if it comes, we will have to account to the people being more robust and more thorough than simply putting people out there purporting to be gurus, and find people who can actually do the job that needs doing.